America certainly could learn a lot from the United Kingdom. And that is to say, they could learn a lot from the United Kingdom on what not to do when it comes to preserving your freedoms, your culture, and your way of life. I've been meaning to make this video now for quite a while, and after last night getting into a spat with some liberal British people on X, it re-inspired me to make this video, because it's time that we've had this conversation. The UK is falling before our very eyes, and it just gets worse and worse over there. I'm gonna show this conversation I had with this liberal on X. It's hilarious. And then I'm gonna break down the statistics of what's going on over there with video proof. Okay, so it all started yesterday. I just decided to leave a super nationalist pro-America comment under Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent's official X account. He was talking about the UK trade deal, talking about other trade deals. So I said, I can't wait to watch America remind the rest of the world how much of a superior nation and country we are to the rest. The rest of these little second and third world countries will fall in line and remember their places. This, of course, upsets people. It upsets liberals who live in America that hate our country. It also upsets people all across the world who hate our country out of pure jealousy. From the username Dad, keep dreaming. Well, the thing is, upon visiting Dad's X account, I find out he's from London, England. So my natural response is, bro, your country is being overrun by Muslims and the only free speech you have left is to criticize America. Worry about your own country before it's lost for good. And I also add in, P.S. Learn Arabic. It will be your native language in about 5 years at this rate. And here's the deal. This is 100% accurate. There is proof of this in the form of video footage all over X. They've allowed this immigration uptick to happen, and they've allowed their country to be taken over by Muslims and other foreign invaders, all while taking away the rights progressively more and more each year, it seems, from their own citizens. This was an incredibly controversial take from Vice President J.D. Vance, who essentially called out Prime Minister Keir Starmer to his face in the Oval Office.
Great. Yeah, look, I said what I said, which is that we do have, of course, a special relationship with our friends in the UK and also with some of our European allies, but we also know that there have been infringements on free speech that actually affect not just the British. Of course, what the British do in their own country is up to them, but also affect American technology companies and by extension American citizens. So that is something that we'll talk about today at lunch.
We've had free speech for a very, very long time in the United Kingdom, and it will last for a very, very long time. Well, no, I mean, certainly we wouldn't want to reach across US citizens, and we don't, and that's absolutely right. But in relation to free speech in the UK, I'm very proud of our history there.
Oh, you're very proud of that, are you, Keir Starmer? The free speech that's notorious for existing in Britain, huh? Well, let's take a look at that claim from Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, about this free speech that's so glorious and so commonplace in Britain currently. This is a recent event that was just posted 2 days ago on X, happening right over there in London.
Apparently during some conversations between yourself, apparently you have alleged, we weren't here, so I don't know you said it, but you've alleged to say, speak English. Or was that effect?
Speak clearly.
Speak clearly.
No,
okay.
the gentleman's partially deaf.
Yeah, he
can
speak clearly. Yeah.
So I couldn't even hear him.
No, and that's fine, and that's why we've just come to speak, because potentially someone could perceive that as a hate crime.
Did we just know this was going to happen?
No, I know.
People, you know, if someone says to me, officer, I believe this, then we need to look at it, because someone's potentially reporting.
So, you flood your nation with immigrants, Britain, Muslims, who are speaking Arabic, no doubt. Maybe they've learned some broken English, and maybe they're getting feisty with you in the streets, and you can't even understand what they're saying, so you tell them to speak English, speak clearly. And they call the cops on you. This foreigner calls the cops on you for demanding that they speak your language. That's free speech, Keir Starmer? Interesting. Let's move on to another one that I found here. Now, here's a man, clearly somebody who was born and raised in Britain. Let's take a look at what happens to him.
That Prophet Muhammad was 50 or 53 years old when he sexually penetrated Aisha.
No.
Aisha. She was 9 years old. She was 9 years old.
That wasn't exactly a clever move, mate, was it?
It was a very clever move.
You really think so?
It was the perfect
You
move.
know, it's people like you.
Everybody
You know,
needs to know.
it's people
They
like
need
you.
to know.
No.
I said.
So, another great example of free speech in Britain. Arrested for not only knowing his factual history, because what he said is completely correct about the Prophet Muhammad, and quite honestly, Arabic history doesn't even deny that. It actually almost celebrates it, weirdly enough. But now in Britain, apparently knowing history and speaking it can offend people so much that you get arrested for it. And I love how after he speaks historically accurate facts, he gets swarmed by Free Palestine protesters, almost like they're ready to assault him. And what do the police do? They help the crowd by pushing him away, shoving him, and eventually arresting him, one of their own citizens. I got another one. Because you see, these events aren't just happening in real life. They're buckling down on social media activity as well.
No.
As a vulnerable person, by means of going to the post, you do not attend any events involved with Palestine, okay? The reasons why we did this is on the 17th of the 10th of 2023, on Bethnal Green Road at 10:04, you were witnesses saying, obviously, people, while they're over here, etc., we let them into our country, etc.
So, big deal.
Yes, okay.
So, big deal.
Why don't you on the television?
Saying it. Take him. Disgusting. He's a disgusting. Absolute ass. I'm a stage 4 cancer patient and I was here. Make a scene of shoes. Make a scene. You're arresting him because he said something in his mind. But Hamas, a terrorist organisation.
You haven't been round the block. You don't know what you're talking about. John,
did you hear that?
What?
Almost Palestinian flags in Bethnal Green Road. And they disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
Why didn't you get John? Why didn't you speak to John? John,
This is your freedom.
Look at the cops! Look at the cops!
Embarrassing.
Because he mentioned Palestine!
So, nearly half a dozen UK police officers show up to this man's door because he made comments on the internet about Palestine, the Palestinian flag, how he found it disgusting. And if I heard that officer right, because he made these comments on the internet, they were prohibiting him from attending any events where Prime Minister Keir Starmer was attending. I might have heard that wrong because of their accents. I'm not great at always picking up on everything they say. Their English is a little bit different, but this is the bottom line of what's happening. They go into this guy's house, it looks like late at night, and they send a swarm of police officers over comments about a Palestinian flag on social media. This is the free speech Keir Starmer was talking about. And this isn't even just an isolated incident. This happened again right here. This was posted on April 28th, 2024, so just over a year ago. And the police showed up over him making a social media post. This time, they were there to arrest him for posting a picture of a flag.
Right now, it's not.
To me, I am alarmed, harassed, and I feel distressed because two coppers are here.
Over the Facebook.
It's not very nice to be investigated.
No, so you should
Over what? Where's
do
the
your
crime?
job. Investigate.
What's the crime?
So what we're going to do is you're invited in for
He's not coming.
voluntarily.
He's not
And
coming.
if you're refusing to do that,
not
we feel
coming.
it's necessary to ask you those questions.
No, he's not
Then
coming.
we will have no other choice but to arrest you in order to ask you those questions.
Well, arrest him. What crime?
What crime? What's my crime? What is my crime?
What crime?
Tell me my crime.
127 of the Communications
Which
Act
says what?
2003.
Which says what?
Where you post something that causes gross offence or of a menacing character, which causes a person anxiety.
Is that what it says?
Yes, it does.
How is a flag? How is a flag grossly offensive?
What I will do, sir.
No, we're not going to. We're not discussing that with you.
And if
here.
you're me, why are you doing him? He shared it.
Don't worry. I'm going to share it. I'm going to share it to my 30,000 followers right now.
We can move on. Mr. Brady, you're under arrest.
No, he's not.
I'm not.
No, he's not.
I'm not under arrest.
No,
I'm not.
he's not under arrest. He's not under arrest. You're not arresting him. You were not arresting him at all.
Notice how the police, when he said he was going to share that flag and post it to his 30,000 followers, they stood up as if he had just made a criminal threat and demanded to place him under arrest. This is the free speech Prime Minister Keir Starmer was talking about. And you know, the thing is, it brings me back to my conversations with these Brits. Notice their silence when I bring up these facts about their country. And do you know why they're silent all of a sudden? It's because they're being watched. They now cannot just be free to say whatever they want on the internet anymore. They are now under scrutiny from their own government, and any form of agreement, any form of criticism is monitored. And if it's considered offensive, or if it's considered stressful to others who may view it, they will be placed under arrest and ultimately usually fined. That's why in every scenario I had with a UK Brit over my post where I was touting the sheer power and brilliance and might of America and upsetting them, they quickly backed off when I pointed out problems with their country over free speech and Muslims and immigration and even crime for that matter. Because that leads me to the next thing. Why is this happening? I believe this guy right here has a great explanation on why it's happening.
Remember when I said I thought I would already be in jail if not for the Second Amendment? How is that Second Amendment in Great Britain? You don't have one. So you go to jail for talking. If you give up your guns, you go to jail for talking.
Our Second Amendment is vital to our protections over here because, you know, you hear this all the time from the Brits over on social media. Well, at least our schools aren't shooting galleries. Yeah? Well, guess what? Your free speech is gone. Your country's being invaded, and they're protecting the invaders more than they're protecting you. This graph shows off a pretty good example of what's going on here. When you ban guns over in Britain, offenses involving a knife or sharp instrument just go up. You can see the trend ever since around 2014. It's just been going up at an unprecedented rate, once again dipping slightly during 2020 and 2021, and I think we all know why that is. There was a little bit of a pandemic going on over across the entire world where people just weren't out and about nearly as much. A lot of things happened during those years, but now that everything's settled back in and returned to normal, look what's happening. It is once again just going back up. And I have more statistics for you. This article, Violent Crime Rising in the UK. The UK has become less peaceful in the last decade, driven by increases in violent and weapons crime. The UK is 11% less peaceful than a decade ago, driven by increases in reported violent crime, weapons crimes, and public disorder offenses. With 1,200 crimes per 100,000 people on average across the UK. And now, you know, they want to tout about how much better their laws have made their country in comparison to America. But how does that hold up? Currently in America, some of our latest data, the FBI reported 380.7 violent crimes per 100,000 people. That's a pretty stark difference, I would say. We're only at a fourth of the rate. They're having major issues over there. And I want to point something else out too. This is what London looks like nowadays. Over the last decade in Britain, the Muslim population in the UK has increased by a staggering 44%. And that's just going to continue to increase. Like I said to preface this video, they're being invaded by their own immigration policies. Their rights are being stripped away. They gave up their rights to their Second Amendment. They're now losing their rights to free speech. Even on social media, they're now being monitored. And they can be arrested for saying stuff on the internet. And on top of that, immigrants now have more rights in their own country than their own citizens do. All while their prime minister denies it and insists that they're still a free first world nation with free speech that they're proud of. And that is why the UK is a prime example to all Americans of what not to do if you want to preserve your culture and your freedoms.